Hey everybody, I cannot see you yet, so just give me 2 seconds. I know people are going to still be filtering over from Mr. Brian, who just is finishing up. So I'm going to get the chat up. Oops, well, I don't like to hear myself. I'm going to get the chat up and where I can see it, because I cannot see it, but I'm pretty sure there's probably already some moderators. Yeah, I see Miss Nikki and Mr. Jones already there. Okay, bang. I have down in the description box, if you are joining and have no clue what is happening, today, starting at least Eastern Standard Time at 5 in the morning, we started the 24-hour Tarot-a-thon that we did last year and that we're doing again this year. So thank you so much for Mr. Simon for organizing all of this and getting all of the times correct and all of that wonderful things, all those wonderful things. In the description box below is a link to Papa Squirrel's channel. I think it's actually to the actual video because he set it up beforehand. He will be following this in an hour. I think I also have a link to Brian's, which was the one before me. And Brian made a blog post that has all of the 24 slots, and so that you can click on the links for all the different ones. As far as I'm aware, everybody who is doing it is leaving it up after the live chat. So if you're like me and didn't wake up at 5 in the morning, you can go back and watch the ones that you've missed. And if you just have to do something in between, you can catch up on the ones that you've missed. So the one that is below, or the link that is below to Brian's channels will get you to all of those different channels so that you can catch up if you need to do so. And there's Mr. Brian. Now he can relax. And I don't think he had to go. He was worried he was going to have to go to the bathroom. And I'm pretty sure he made it all the way through. Okay, so hello to everybody. I know that the channel, the chat is going to scroll extra fast. Because we do have extra people than our normal live chats, which are normally on Saturday. But we're going to have a lot of people. There's going to be some new people here. And so welcome to everybody that is here. I probably will miss questions until near the end if I just open it up to questions, because it's going to be moving quickly. And so I'm going to leave it to the moderators. If you see a blue symbol with a wrench on it, those are moderators, and I'm going to leave it to them to keep the chat a clear and safe space. And if you have a question, put it in at least my name in capital letters, and hopefully one of the moderators will see it. And that way, maybe when I do take a breath, we can go back to it. But don't feel as if you are being ignored if I don't answer your question. It's just because it's hard to read when they go quickly when I'm talking at the same time. I'm not one of those people who can pat my head and roll all that stuff you're supposed to do, and I would probably fail a alcohol test in a car even if I was completely sober. So don't expect me to totally keep up whilst talking. Yes, and there's Papa Squirrel. I see he'll be on next. You used to be able to click on his name and go to his channel, but I don't think you can anymore. So go down to the description, the link below, and that will take you right over to his video after the hour is up. Okay, so we can't ramble this time, right? We normally ramble into long things, and we can't. We have to stop at an hour. I should probably set some kind of a timer, but I'll leave that to the mods to remind me when we're getting close. So the purpose of Tarot-a-thon, well, in my head, is twofold. One, that we have 24 hours of talking about tarot, which is fabulous. And the other is to have, so instead of just, it's not to be just a live chat for 24 hours, which is cool, but the purpose is that everybody who is holding that space, their space for an hour, is going to talk about some particular Simon. Simon, I know, because he started at 5 in the morning. So he has been up. And I know last year he stayed through the whole 24 hours. So let's give him some extra coffee. So yeah, the point here is to hold space for an hour and have a particular topic. And then, people who are training along with us are going to be able to look at tarot from a lot of different perspectives, which is absolutely amazing. And again, if you've missed any of them, if you're coming here because you do our live chats on Saturdays or Sundays, go to that link and there's going to be lots of different topics that you can click on and be able to catch up with them because there's a lot of interesting questions. So my topic of the hour is about the almighty question. So, if you've been around tarot for any length of time, you certainly know that any reading that we do starts with a question, right? In fact, if you take a class or read a book on tarot or look in your guidebook, if you're new to tarot and just have a deck and you have the guidebook, it's going to be addressed somewhere in there about the question, about having a question. In any class on any type of divination that I teach, we always take a moment or two or three to talk about the question. Because if we just randomly pull cards or cast something or do whatever it is we're going to do for an oracle type reading, and we don't have any question, we're going to get vague answers. We're just going to get some, okay, this card means this card means that, this card means this. What does that mean all strung together? Who knows? It could mean 100 different things if you don't look at that through the lens of the question. I like to think, I've been recently had gone back and did a timeline of different divination systems, right? Going back so far back. And as far as I can guesstimate, obviously I am not an anthropologist, nor am I a historian. But as far as I can tell, as long as there have been people asking questions and then picking something up around them. We know that people picked up sticks with symbols on them. Can look at those in oghams. We know that people picked up bones and cast bones. We know that people picked up shells that were around areas with lots of shells in the area, picked up cowrie shells to cast. We know that people even looked into the entrails of animals that were sacrificed. As far as we can tell, as long as there have been people, they have been asking questions and then grabbing something around them to try to get the answer to that question. I think it's an innate part of the human existence that we question the things that are around us, that we question where did we come from, where are we going, what is going to happen, or where's my next meal? Is my husband's brother in the Viking days going to come back from the ship that they're on? And it's a dangerous thing. All of these types of things. We have questions from the mundane to the big, big questions of where are we going to go after we die? What's going to happen to us? Will I see this person again? Am I going to find love? Am I going to find the job of my dreams? Am I going to get unstuck? I feel like I can't move anywhere. Am I going to ever get anywhere? We have questions, and we reach for divination tools to try to get answers to those questions. So when we so before I get to the actual topic, it is important to think about if you are somebody who is starting out reading with tarot, or if you are someone who's been reading a long time and then just sometimes forgets the basics. have a question in mind when you sit down to do a reading. If you just sit down and lay a bunch of cards out, yes, you can get random information. Yes, you can get, string along a story or something, but you're really not going to get an answer if you don't ask a question. So taking a minute before you get started to think about why it is that you're stepping up to the table. Why are you sitting down with a deck of cards in front of you? But the important thing is to not just have the question, but when you sit down to look at the cards, then you need to keep that question in mind. I think that a lot of times, especially with newer people, if you watch newer or talk to newer people who are reading, they will have a question in mind, but then when they sit down to read the cards, they forget about that question, or they get sidetracked by the cards that are on the table and forget the question. So let's say they're doing a question about work and they're wanting to figure out whether they should take a particular job. And then all of a sudden the Lover's card or the Two of Cups shows up in the reading. And now they're off on, I'm going to find true love, or I'm going to find, if I take this job, I'm going to find a lover, or I'm going to have an affair, or I'm going to meet the man or woman of my dreams. And all of a sudden they have sidetracked the entire reading because they have forgotten what the question was. And the question allows you to interpret the cards through the lens of the question. So then the Two of Cups isn't about a lover meeting the love of your life anymore. It's about what are that might be good interactions between you and the people that you're going to work with. And so it's really easy, though, to get off track of what it is that you are trying to ask and forget that if you don't pay attention. Remind yourself of the question. So if you're new, or if you're just somebody who does like to get sidetracked by squirrels or run off on rabbit trails, then write the question down, which also helps you to define your question really well, right? If you really think about it. And it doesn't mean that you can't have a general reading, but when you do a general reading, you still have a question. What do I need to know right now? That is a question. So even when you do a general thing, or you just want to open yourself up to the universe, you still have a question. It may not be spoken, you may not be thinking so much about it, but it's still a question. What does the universe need me to hear right now? What is it that I'm missing that I need to be paying attention to? What's going on? What is the energy around me right now? These are still questions, even though they're bigger and they're broader questions than, should I take this job? Or is this person the love of my life? That there's still a question there. But the purpose of this actual chit chat here is not so much about the questions that we ask the tarot, because I think that, again, we talk about this all of the time. I do think it's forgotten as much as it is talked about. I do think that it really helps, especially with newer people, to reading with any divination system, to have a really succinct question so that you can really hear what the answer is back, and not have to question it so much, or get thrown off track because you just think a card doesn't relate to a particular question. Every single card in the tarot deck has something to say about every single question. So if it is a question about love and you get pentacles back, it's still answering your question. Physicality has to do with relationships. We have sex, which is a physical act. We share resources like money, and that's a physical act. We share living spaces, which is a physical act. So the physicality of Earth has something to do with relationships. So don't freak out if you do a question about love and you get pentacles. Vice versa, as I said before, if you're doing a question about work and you get a bunch of cups back, that doesn't mean that it hasn't answered the question. It's talking about the inner relations. It's talking about how you're feeling about the job. It's talking about how you're connecting with other people about the job. Every single card in tarot has something to say about any question that you might ask. But so all that in mind is the real question for today, though, is what if we think about that in the reverse? Is that I think that sometimes people, when we get cards up, cards come up in a reading, and we don't really know where it's going. We don't really know what, maybe we didn't have a question succinctly, or we just knew, or we're just kind of sitting there and we're like, I don't really know what this reading is saying, right? It happens to everybody. If you're going to do a reading with any kind of system, there's going to come a time when you're sitting there looking at a bunch of cards and you think, you know, what is this trying to say? Flip the switch around and think about what every single, just as I said, every single tarot card has something to say about any single question that you ask. The reverse is true. Every single tarot card has a question to ask of you, right? So instead of us going to the mirror on the wall and saying, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? It's as if the mirror instead turns around and asks us a question. I think you can hear conversations about tarot all of the time, where we think about tarot cards as a mirror, as reflecting us, right, of reflecting who we are and what it is, our situation, and reflecting the questions that we have. But if you think about each of the cards as having a question that it is asking of you, it can be that moment of assessment. So I thought we would start by going through the major arcana, because obviously that's pretty contained in a number of cards, and I don't know how long it will take us to do that. So I thought we would go through first the major arcana, and just think about what question, not what is the question that you would have for that card, but what is the question that that card is asking of you. And so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 decks, and people are going to ask what they are. So I'm going to very quickly, and again, for people who are new, I'm not watching the chat very much because I've got to get it all out in an hour, but we've got moderators here to answer any particular questions you might have. So the decks that we're going to be looking at is the Darkness of Light Tarot, the Children of Litha Tarot, the Moon, obviously these are all tarot because this is about tarot, the Moonchild, Tarot of the Hidden Realms, the Pagan of the World, and I just grabbed these. They were either on my tarot desk or I just grabbed them. This is the Tarot of Delphi, and this is the Fairy Tale Tarot from Pappa Studios. So those are the decks where I've got them put in order of the major arcana, just so that we have some of the images to look at while we think about not what was the question that you're going to have if you're faced with a Fool. So let's start, of course, with the Fool. Of course, you can start and end with the Fool, because the Fool is the beginning of the journey. And hopefully once you've gone all the way through the cards to the world, you step back through the mirror and enter back into the Fool. Thank you very much for those of you who I see listing the decks. I appreciate that. So we're going to start with the Fool here and think about what question. So this is the Darkness of Light. We generally, with the Fool, see somebody who's got his bag on his back and he's going off on an adventure. So if you were to pick this card, what is the question that this card might have for you? Are you willing to step out into the journey, right? Because we think about the Fool as being that naive. They haven't experienced a whole lot yet at the beginning. At the end, they've experienced a lot. And are you still willing to step out into the journey, right? And that becomes an even more powerful question when you are at the very end. So at the very beginning, you're naive. You don't know what's ahead of you. You don't know how hard life is going to be. And so it's pretty easy to step out there full of wonder, full of delight, ready to step out into the world and figure out what's going on, right? But after you've lived a little while, after you've put a few wrinkles on your face and a few dings in your armor, it's a little harder to step out into the world and experience it. This is one of my favorite Fool cards ever. This is why I used this deck, because I absolutely love this, because look at his face. He is absolutely full of joy. He is face to the sun. His arms are back. His chest is forward. He's got the rose in his hand with the thorns. So there's an awareness that there are going to be some pokes and pricks and blood along the way, but the energy here is so stunning. He's just so excited to step out into life. That's a little bit harder down the road when you've experienced all of the major arcana and you've got to step back into that energy. Right? Are you going to heed the call? If we think a lot of times in tarot, we talk about the major arcana as the hero's journey that you can see. Joseph Campbell has a book on the hero's journey. It's a theme, it's an archetype, it's a storyline that gets played over and over and over again because it is part of our life. And so we see it in books and stories all the time. And so the Fool at the beginning is saying, will you heed the call? There's a call to adventure. Are you going to heed it? Will you step through the mirror? Are you going to go through the looking glass, right? In order to experience adventure. Sorry, I know I'm not here. Look at the joy in this Fool from the Tarot of Delphi. Just a powerful card there. And then again, when we come back around to the doing this again, the question gets even harder. But the question is, will you heed the call? What's around the corner, right? That's another question the Fool can ask. What? Because that's really what we're seeing. He's just going to step off the cliff. He's really not even thinking about what's around. Maybe the Fool needs to ask a few more questions for us, especially the Fool from the Thoth card that's about to step into an alligator or crocodile mouth. So there we have the Fool. I know we have to keep moving if we're going to get through them all. So the next card in the Major Arcana is the Magician. Right? What kind of question could this ask you if it comes up in a reading? This is, again, Darkness of Light. I love this Magician. This question, if this came up in a card, it came up in a reading, it can ask you, do you know how strong you are, right? That's what the Magician is about. I'm going to skip order here a little bit because look at the, now we all know and love the Magician from Tarot of the Hidden Realms for his porn stash, but minus his porn stash, what I love about this particular Magician is that he's pulling back his shirt there and showing you and pointing to the fact that it is inside, the power is within you. Everything that you need is within you. So what is it, the question that he's asking, right? He's saying, do you know how strong you are? Do you realize that you have everything that it takes, right? How strong are you? Because if it's just question, I know everybody's a stat. I know his stash is pretty awesome, but it is definitely frame it up in a question of what this could be asking you in a particular situation. And I think that mostly he's asking you to remember how strong you are. Do you know that everything that you need is within you, right? Are you willing to use your power? I'm not, so I shouldn't have got mixed up because now I'm going to grab the wrong ones. And that's another question, will you use the power that you have? So instead of trying to find out the answer elsewhere, try to find your power from somewhere else, try to figure out the situation from some other perspective. Are you going to use the power that you have? Like, are you going to get in there and get it done? Because sometimes these questions are there that are going to call you out and say, quit looking all around you and look in the mirror and do it yourself. The Magician is very much about doing it yourself. Look at her. I love her. Yeah, I love that Bohemian spirit. What is your superpower? Okay, I'm not going to, next time I'm not going to get out of order because we're going to end up having different questions here. Pick the fruit, right? Are you going to pick that fruit? That was the question in the Garden of Eden, isn't it? Are you going to eat the fruit of good and evil or knowledge? This is a storyteller at fault. Oh, he's throwing a ball, I think. Yeah. So there's the Magician. So if you don't know, if you get a card and you say, oh, I don't even know what this is, start from the beginning of, okay, what is this card about? So the Magician's about having all of the 4 elements at your disposal. The Magician is about bringing in from the, the essence of the world around you and pulling it into the physical world. It's about power, and it's about inherent power that you have within yourself. So if you start with, okay, this is what it means, and then, okay, well, what question is that then could that be asking you? Are you using your power, right? Are you going to get this done? Are you just going to get in and get your hands dirty and get it done? As a favorite one, I think so far has been, what is your superpower? Because you do have a superpower. What is it? Look inside and figure out what that is. So if you take each card as a moment of assessment to think about instead of you putting the question out to the universe, which is great, the universe is putting some questions back at you. So the next one we have is the beautiful and powerful High Priestess. I love her. I mean, you could also ask you could probably ask, what is your superpower with the High Priestess as well, right? Look at her. That's from the Darkness of Light. Oops, this is a little hard. I know this isn't the best camera to see some of these cards when they're really bright, but so I'm looking at the chat, and I'm going to see, what would you, I'm not going to say anything yet this time. What would you think the question of the High Priestess would be for you? The High Priestess is about diving deep, right? This is going down into your intuition. For me, this is where magic lies, right? This is down there in the depths. She sits at the veil between the worlds, right? What's behind the veil? That's the question that we often ask of the High Priestess, is what's behind the veil. But what if the High Priestess is asking us a question? I like that. Yeah, a couple people says, what is your gut? What is your intuition telling you, right? Listen to your instincts. What is your instincts telling you? What is your gut telling you? Yeah, good, good. Dig deep, right? So instead of us coming to the High Priestess or the seer at Delphi, right? Instead of coming to the oracle and saying, what's behind the veil? Instead, the veil is asking us, what is your inner voice telling you, right? I like that, Wendy. What do you need to unlock? That's a really good. Oops, I missed. Oh, that's this one. Okay. I love her. I love her because she's beckoning you. One of the beauties of Tarot of the Hidden Realms, I know I'm slightly getting off topic, but one of the things that's beautiful about Tarot of the Hidden Realms is that they're often very much interacting with us in a way that I think does well for this kind of exercise. But she's actually beckoning us, right? Instead of taking a peek behind the veil, will you step behind the veil, right? Which is pretty much the same thing as, what is your instincts telling you? What is your own? Yes, I always say to people, people that come to me for readings, I say it all of the time. When somebody comes to a reading, whether you're going yourself to a reading or you're going to a tarot reader to get a reading, you already know the answer to the question, right? Whatever question that we're coming to tarot for is, we already know the answer. We just sometimes need to see it, right? We need to have it verbalized out loud. We need to see it reflected in the cards. We already know the answer. And so the High Priestess is reminding us of that and saying, you have the answer. What is the answer to your question? That's the other thing. If you come to the High Priestess and say, what's the answer? The question she's going to ask you is, what's the answer, right? She's going to ask you what the answer is because you already know the answer to your question. She's beautiful. This is from Tarot of Delphi. And I think I saw somebody say on here, yes, this is out of print. But as far as I'm aware, she is going to be reprinting it. Let's see, I'm getting off whack here. Sorry. Here's the last one. I know everybody's like, it's so mean to show us the Tarot of Delphi. I'm sorry, but it's such an amazing deck. And it is coming back. It is coming back. I don't know when. I have no knowledge of when, but I saw, you know, of her announcing anything, it is intending to be coming back. So I know it's mean. Okay, so the next card that we have is the Empress card, right? So the Empress card, so I'm going to do this again. I'm not going to say what I think that it is asking right away. So you guys can put in there what you think the question is. The Empress is about sitting in a seat of feminine power, right? This is about creation. This is about creativity. This is about abundance, but abundance that you are creating, right? It's not that you're sitting, the Empress isn't about sitting and waiting abundance to come to you. The Empress is about sort of owning your own power and going out and making your own abundance. I love that, tarot student. Coming from the Empress, it would be, what can you create, right? And I love Stellar Rain Dancer saying, are you taking care of yourself? Oops, see, I'm getting out of whack here. I'm getting out of whack. Okay, here's this. I'm trying to read and do things at the same time. I love that, Linda. What are the seeds that you want to sow? Because obviously what you put in is what you get out, right? So I think that's beautiful. What do I need to nurture? Lennon says. I love her. Again, I love tarot. It's one of my oldest decks, the Tarot of Hidden Realms. And look at her. I love her red hair. She's gathering in fruit. She's got the wheat there. It's all about creativity, but it's not about creativity and abundance that somebody's handing you. It's about creativity that you're going out and create. Yeah, what are you creating? Bohemian Spirit says, yeah, not even what can you, what are you doing? Like, are you going to get out there and create, right? It can be a bit confrontive, where it can be like, what are you doing with your creative energy? Are you just going to sit around and think about it, or are you actually going to do something, right? I think that we in the modern era think about the Empress card as being Mother Earth and this kind of energy, but you have to remember, in the historical decks, she was the Empress, like the physical, political female ruler. She wasn't. Queen of Pentacles would be more along Mother Earth, and so the energy of the Empress is really that rulership. Are you owning your stuff, right? Are you owning what you're creating? Am I getting off again? We're gonna have to speed it up, aren't we? Okay, I'm gonna speed it up whilst you keep asking questions. Like her, look at her. That looks like Cleopatra or somebody along that line, where think of the Empress as she's gonna be demanding, what are you doing with your creative energy? Quit thinking about it and do it. Oops. I keep wanting to pull from the next one of the pack. And then there's the Empress. Thank you, Kelly Bear. I'm halfway. She's giving me the halfway warning. Okay, we're going to speed it up. Speed it up. Okay, folks. We have here the Emperor. Now, he really is that seat of authority, right? We definitely think of the Emperor here as the seat of political power. Are you sitting in the seat of your own power? That's the question he always asks me. Are you sitting in the seat of your own power? Are you making the hard choices? Some of the Emperor cards can be a little bit rough, but the Emperor does have to make the hard choices. Good ones. Are you leading? Who's calling the shots in your life, Bohemian? Yeah, are you calling the shots, or are you letting somebody else call the shots, right? Mr. Jones says, do you need to put your foot down? That's a good one, Stellar Rain Dancer says, are you doing what's right instead of what's easy? Because remember, the Emperor can't just make decisions that's best for them, but has to make the decisions that's best for the whole kingdom. We have the cards like in the Japardea Tarot that is named War for the Emperor. The Emperor generally has swords and shields and armor on, because sometimes the Emperor has to make those hard calls. What kind of leader you are? I really do like that. Do you define your territory? Shantadiva says. That's a good one. Dumbledore, yeah. I do love him, but no, that would be Odin, I think, with the crows there. So then, yes, Lewis says, do not be so passive and speak your truth. So if you reframe that as a question, are you being passive or are you speaking your truth, right? Turn it around on yourself to being a question that forces you to have an answer. Instead of you asking the question, let it confront you and ask you the question that you might need to think about. I love him too, very shamanistic there. Two more. I know we've got to speed it up. Good questions here, though. Just, yeah, tough love. It's the Emperor is definitely tough love. The Emperor is really... Mr. Jones is like, you've got 18 more to go. Okay. Let's speed it up. Oops. What do we get? That's the Emperor. That's the last one. Good questions. Yeah, that's a good one. That's true, Kat. So then the question might be then, are you willing to take the consequences for your actions? That could be the question then. So then we come to the Hierophant. The Hierophant is an interesting one because I think there's a couple ways that the questions could come from him, right? Because the Hierophant does speak to traditions, which can be a good thing. Traditions that are passed on can be very good. It also has connotations of being a mediator. You know, the priests, these were in the older decks, these were the Pope or a bishop or something of that nature. And so they are very much along the lines of mediating between man and God. And of course, in later years, when Protestant comes out of that, we don't need somebody to mediate. We have direct access to God. So the Hierophant can ask a couple questions. I love this. Are you teaching? Well, I love the one I can't see. It's going too quickly for me to tell you. But the question of what are you teaching? So by even your actions, not just what you say, but by what you do, what is it that you're teaching to other people? Right. But I love that, tarot student. Are you upholding the traditions of your family? Traditions aren't bad. But then you could also say the Hierophant asks us, are we too bound by tradition, right? Are we too bound up by labels? Are you defining yourself by somebody else's labels, right? So the Hierophant is interesting because it has that idea of teaching and passing on information. It's also a number 5, which is a shakeup, right? It says, don't get too comfortable. Are you too comfortable in your traditions? Are you too comfortable? Here, look at that, powerful. I love that. Do you even know? That's good, Shante Diva. Do you even know your tradition? Wendy says, are you being true to yourself versus being true to what other people expect you, the boxes? Because sometimes the Hierophant can be about those labels and boxes that we put people into and sometimes put ourselves into. What are you currently learning, says Waheen. Okay, we're going to keep moving. I'm determined we'll get through this, which means we're going to have to go faster. Are you being truthful? I like that, Kelly Bear. Are you being truthful with what you're putting out there? And again, it's not always just about speech. It's about how you are acting as well. So here we have the Lover's card. The Lover's card for me is about choice, right? It's about making a choice that has long-term ramifications, that has, obviously, a lot of times we see the Garden of Eden. The choice in the Lover's card, the choice that was made in the Garden of Eden has long-term ramifications. So are you really thinking through the choices that you're making? Oops, I'm getting out of whack here again. Oh, here we are. Here we have this Lover's card. What decision is your heart telling you? That's really nice, Danny. I love that. Do you choose the best with your heart, says Shante D. That's very, very Adam and Eve there. That's a good one, Heather. Are you aware of the consequences of your choices? Because if you get this card, it's putting it back on you and reminding you that decisions that you make are going to have long-term consequences. So are you making those decisions? Oftentimes in the Lover's card, you'll see 3 things. You might see the angel, and then the man and the woman in a traditional deck. Sometimes in older historical deck, you'll see a man with 2 women. One of them is beautiful and naked, and the other one looks like it's either his mother or an older, wiser woman. Are you going to choose a beautiful naked woman, or are you going to choose the one that might help you a little bit more down the road? It's about making good decisions and thinking about where those choices are going to take you. And so when you get this card, oops, am I off? When you get this card that's asking you that question of, are your decisions sound? Are you thinking about the consequences of this choice that you're making? And there we have a beautiful, very fairy tale-esque looking lover's card there. That's a good one, Sherry, or Cherie, maybe? I'm not sure. Can you accept what is being mirrored back to you? Love it. Love it. Okay, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. So here's my birth card, and this is one of my absolute favorite depictions of my birth card. So this is the Chariot. The Chariot is very much about, I hope he doesn't choose his mother. That's true. Well, if this was Game of Thrones or some of, even in Egyptian lore, there are definitely mythological options of choosing your mother, aren't there? The Chariot card is about movement, right? Are you just going to stand there is what the Chariot says, right? Are you going to take the reins? Are you going to do something? Are you going to get moving? Look at her. I absolutely love this, this one here. Are you on the right path? Or don't even be on the path, right? A lot of times the Chariot has, you see images where they're up in the clouds or they're in choppy water, right? And so that is, are you going to make your own path? Is something else I think the Chariot can ask us is, are you willing to make your own path? Do you have the confidence, even if it's not sure you will win? So yeah, you're going to drive forward anyways. Danny says, will you pick a direction and just go, right? Are you going to get moving? Whatever direction that is, are you going to get moving? I love that Iridescent Sea says, what motivates you? What is it driving you, right? If you think about the Chariot, what's driving you forward? What is this? If you get this card and you are just kind of crashing forward, maybe needing to say, what's pushing you forward? Might be something that actually helps you. I love this one. This is a Snow Queen. It's one of my favorite folk tales. Here we have the Snow Queen with reindeer. Is your ego driving? Connor says, yeah, right, exactly. What is it that's driving? Because maybe that's the question underneath it all. Isn't necessarily if you're going to get moving again, but what's going to motivate you? Because that's going to depend. What's driving you is going to actually point in the direction that you're going in. Very good questions there. JR says, do you have hold of the reins? Yeah. Louis says the Chariot is probably going to ask him, are you procrastinating? Jamie says, where are you going? What is your intention? Yeah, having a goal in mind can help, right? Okay. Now, I put this as strength for number 8. I see number 8 as justice, but many of my decks are Rider-Waite-Smith based, and so I'm going to leave this at 8 so that we don't have to have that whole conversation because we don't have time. We got to speed it up. Okay, we're going to go fast. Here we have the strength card. What question is the strength card asking us? Do you know your own strength, right? Look at that beautiful one. I'm going to let you guys say. Here's beautiful from the Moonchild. I'm going to get these up faster. Oh, I got these all out of whack. We missed that Lover's card. And we missed Terror of the Hidden Realm, 2 of them. Okay, we'll get to my favorite one. This is one of my favorite strength cards. Look at 14 card. Oh, shoot, Jones Davy. You're putting the whistle on. Okay. You guys ask your questions. I like that, Kelly Bear. Do you trust yourself? This is my favorite. Look at that. Do you trust yourself to handle the situation? Do you know your own strength, right? Instead of asking for strength, it's asking you to connect to your own strength. Okay, we got to go. We got to go, folks. And again, do this. Take your favorite tarot deck out. In case we don't finish this, take your favorite tarot deck out and go through all of the cards one by one and just see what would that question be if the card came up for you. Here we have the Hermit card. Are you willing to look for the knowledge? Are you willing to go out and find it, right? You can't find it sitting at home. The Hermit card is going into the cave. It's going up onto the mountaintop. It is going and holding the light up. Are you willing to go find the answers, right? Are you willing to let knowledge turn into wisdom? Love it, love it, love it. Okay, what about this? What about this? We've got the Wheel of Fortune. Life is change, right? The Wheel of Fortune tells us life is change. It's just what it is, right? Life moves and flows. Are you going to flow with it? Are you going to roll with it? I love the Fortune Fairy, right? What are your intentions that you're putting out there with that particular one? But this is about change. Are you in the center of the... Yes, I love that. I'm sorry, it's going too fast to see names. Jen, I think, are you ready to roll with it? Because things are changing. Are you ready is a good one for the Wheel of Fortune. Because it is just be ready to roll because life is changing. I think we've really got these out of whack, but here we're going to keep moving. Here's the Justice card, right? Do you see the truth? Can you face the truth? The Justice card is about cutting through emotion and seeing the truth of things, right? Are you willing to look truth in the face? Are you really willing to see beyond are you fair? Yeah. Don't ask, is life fair? Because the answer is no, but are you being fair? Are you thinking fairly, right? Can you cut through people's utter bullshit, says Kelly Bear. That's a good one. Okay, Hanged Man, right? Can you do it a different way? Can you see it a different way? Can you see it through somebody else's eyes? Can you see through another perspective, right? That's a good Stellar Rain Dancers. Did you cause this situation, right? Because the Hanged Man can also be about consequences. So I do think that's a good question. Yep. Are you willing to see through a different perspective? Love that Bohemian spirit. What sacrifices are you willing to make? Here we have the Death card. Kelly Bear says the Hanged Man says, uh-oh, what have you done now? Yep. Here we have the Death card. Sacrifice. What's the next step? Good, Tammy Pie. Yep. I know. I've got the Litha all messed up. All I have next is the World card, so I obviously didn't pull them all out. So we're kind of keeping on moving because I've messed some of these up. The Death card. How do you move on? Are you willing to let go? Good, Connor. Are you ready for the big changes, right? It's about big transformations. Are you ready to step behind the veil? Are you ready to see what's behind the veil? Are you hanging on to old things? Yes. Can you let go? Right? Oops. Yeah, okay, we're going to keep moving. I don't have any clue where we're at time-wise. I mean, I know how many cards we have. So here we have the Temperance cards, right? Are you in balance? The Death card is still kind of hard for me to do. Yeah, it's a rough one, but it's a powerful one. It's a good one to sit with and think about the questions that it would ask. Here's the Temperance. Are you balancing? Did you get closure? Are you letting things flow? Yeah. How can you alchemize this? I love that. Stellar Rain Dancer, you need to do like a whole video on your questions of these because you've got some good ones. What needs to be healed? Bohemian Spirit, that's a fantastic one. Should you pursue that dream of being a mixologist? Should you be a bartender? What are you doing to create harmony? Nice, Sherry. And the last one, we got to keep moving. But I think obviously by now you get the point of this is that while we go to tarot all the time for questions, if we allow tarot to ask us the question, it can really start to unpack some things as to why you're even sitting there at the table. So it's a really great exercise. You can even do your reading the way you normally would and then stop and say, okay, if it was asking me the questions in reverse, what would those questions be? And it might give you some insight into digging through the situation in another perspective. So now we have the Devil, right? The question is, did the devil make you do it? Or did you do it yourself, right? Did you put yourself in the situation or did the devil really make you do it? I love the devil for that. What habits do I need to let go of? Did you give away your power? Did you really just do that? That's what it's asking us. Did you just do that? What tempts you the most? Do you really need to go out on the town and let loose? That could be too, especially with this one. Do you need to have a good frolic in the woods? Is what he's asking you. Okay, I'm getting way out of whack. Okay, I'm just gonna grab the ones that are really obvious. Okay, we're gonna keep moving. Gonna keep moving. Oh, we're gonna have a pile of this is gonna be a pain in the butt to clean up. I'll let that fall right there. Okay, Tower card. Tower card, right? Tower card's about shake up. How are you going to rebuild, right? That's the question. It could be. It's already shook up, right? Do you need a new deck, says Shante. Yes. I know, Kelly Bear. Sometimes you do just need to frolic. What are we at? We're at the tower. Right? So the tower is about shakeup. The shakeup's already happened. The lightning's already struck. What are you going to do about it? Right? How are you going to rebuild? What's worth rebuilding, right? Because sometimes what falls off is what you didn't need in the first place. So how are you going to rebuild this? What parts are you going to rebuild? Can you learn from your mistakes? Look, everybody's rolling into it. What's left? That's a good question, book, right? Because that also tells you how to rebuild. Cape Cod says, the tower says, are you playing too much Jenga? Very possible. Very possible. What are we at? Where are we at? We're to star. Can you find your way, right? Renee says that the tower card asks, do you need better insurance? That's a good one. Here we have the star card, right? The star card is about hope. Do you trust yourself to find the way, right? It's about faith in yourself, faith that you're going to be able to navigate through where you need to. One of my favorite. Look at that, right? There, beautiful, beautiful. Do you have hope? What inspires you? Why is she always naked is the question Sherry asked me. Okay, keeping on moving. How about the moon? The moon card. I think we might actually make it if we keep going in Speedy Gonzalez mode. Here we have the moon card. Sherry's gonna roll down the joke ones. Why are you taking a bath outside at the dark, right? In the dark, in the water. No, that's where sharks come. The moon card. I love that, Danny. Are you willing to see what's hidden? Excellent, Jen. What are you deceiving yourself? What are you hiding, right? Can you find your way? I love this moon card. What is your deepest fear? Nice, Shadow Moon. I love that. Unicorn says, I'm losing it because it's scrolling too fast. Can you dance with your shadow? 8 minutes. We got 8 minutes, says Miss Bella. We can do it. We're at the moon card. I know. Kelly Bear, are you sure it's wise to be out on a full moon when you're a werewolf? Maybe you should be chained up. Are you crazy? Actually, that's a good one. Are you in your right mind at this very moment? How about the sun? Here we have the sun. The sun is about confidence, right? The sun is about confidence, about mastering yourself, right? Oh, I'm trying to find suns here because I got everything all kerjangled. Love the sun. What are you growing, right? What are you deluding yourself over with the moon? Yeah, that's a good one. Why is the baby so cute? Why are there naked babies? That's what my question, my eternal question for the sun card is, why do those babies have six packs? That's my eternal sun question. Look at her. Look at that. So beautiful. That's very interesting, Monica. Are you ready to expose yourself? It's true. What should you be celebrating? Yep. What have you owned? Like, you've owned it in some way with the sun card. So what is it that you have oh my goodness, I cannot even read the chat. It's going too fast. What is your ultimate joy, says Green Tara. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, we got to keep moving. So now we have the beautiful judgment, right? How did you get here? That's, for me, the judgment card is asking, how did you get here? Think about your own choices and decisions, the choices other people had that you had no control over, the experiences, natural disasters like the tower that we had no way of controlling. How did you get here, and where are you going from here, right? The judgment is the assessment card that says, think about how you got to where you are, and from there, now where are you going to go? Love, love, love. Judgment. I think we're going to make it, folks. We're going to make it. One more. course, we have the beautiful world card. And for me, the world card is about where are you going next. I know it's like the completion card, which is, you know, is coming full circle, but it's also, I love when you have the laurel wreaths like you see here in traditional cards, because now we got to step back through this and we have to go back through and try to be the fool again after all of these experiences, right? All these things that we've just been questioned about, we now have to start all over again. And can we be the fool again, even though we've gone all through this, right? Yep. Are you ready to start over? Exactly. Yeah, what journey has come to an end? Yep. Is your world your oyster? Yep. You just shouted this. So Green Terror is shouting victory, and then what's up next, right? You gotta, yep. Can you do this all over again? It's exactly what I see of with the world card. And then there's the world card. We did it with 5 minutes to spare. And I have a giant pile of tarot decks and tarot cards in front of ourselves. But I really think that this is a great way to take a new tarot deck that if you've just gotten a new tarot deck and you really want to get comfortable with it, or you have a tarot deck that you absolutely love and you want to go even deeper with it, just pick it up and start flipping through the cards. And it's not just the major arcana. I did that because I thought we could possibly get through the major arcana. But you know, you get the 6 of Cups, right? Are you willing to be vulnerable again, right? If you pick the 8 of Swords, how are you going to get yourself out of this, right? Every single card in tarot can answer every single question, but every single card in tarot also has a question to ask from you. So layer that into your readings, or just pull a random card and say, what's the question of the day? Not for the cards, but from the cards. And it might be a great exercise to sort of reframe up who's doing the questioning. So thank you for everybody. It's literally scrolling so quickly, but thank you everybody who participated through the questions out there. This has been fantastic. Remember, in the description box, I don't know if you can see it yet until you until this ends. One of the moderators might put the next question up there, or the next link up there, but Pappa Squirrel's video channel is next. The actual link to the live video setup is in the description box below, so that you can get yourself over there on the next one. And if you came in on the middle of this, there is a link below that Brian put up on his blog of all of the channels that are taking part, so that you can go back and watch ones that you might have missed, and kind of get on from now as it goes forward. Thank you, Miss Bella. It looks like, and Mr. Jones, some of the moderators are throwing up links for the next video after this, because this just keeps moving, right? We just have to keep on going. I know, Jones Davy, it's scrolling so fast. It's hard to see anything. If you came to this just because you're used to our regular live chats, that will be back in play next Saturday at 4 p.m. as normal. This was extra special one for #Tarotthon 2019. Just take it and run with it and go on to the next one, and experience. Jen says, I mean, there are only 260 people in here, and this is why the chat is rolling. Yes, thank you very much to the moderators. It's extra hard today for, I think, anybody's channel with moderators, because chat's moving so fast. So thank all of you for putting up links, and the people who put up the deck names. You guys are all fantastic. I know it's a relay race. Everybody's like talking in fast speed to try to get everything out. But yes, thank you to all of you guys for popping in, for the moderators, for Simon, for organizing all of this. And I'm about ready to hit the end button so that Pappa Squirrel can take the handle. The torch. That's what they pass on as a torch. Goodbye, everybody, and have an absolutely wonderful rest of your Sunday.